And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gentlemen of Crypto. This is your host, King, and I'm here to bring you bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday. You know that's Bitcoin Zay's line. But today's top stories: the Bitcoin price has only been higher now for 12 days in its history. Before Congress, federal regulators dispute U.S. pace on national digital currency. Digital currency group IPO could easily fetch $4 billion, says Masari. 300 million in Bitcoin flow to Binance from Huobi as China gets tougher on exchanges. U.S. company now lets travelers pay for passports with Bitcoin. And last but not least, payments provider BitPay rolls out cryptocurrency payroll service. But first and foremost, of course, let's go ahead and take a look at these prices. Bitcoin is bouncing all over the place. We know this right after it crosses that $13,000 mark, $12,000 to $13,000. That percentage swing for it to increase and decrease by the dollar value decreases. So you can see here, Bitcoin is at $16,263, up 1.87%. And I mean, literally before I clicked on this window about 2 or 3 minutes ago, Bitcoin is at 16,000 flat. So that quick, it just went up to 16,263. Ethereum is at $471.35, up 3.26%. Ripple's at 26 cents, up 3.66%. Let's see, Chainlink $12.74, up 3.41%. We got Stellar coming in at about 8 cents, up 3%. Bcash at $257, up 0.04%. So green day, even though it's small increments for everything, this is a great sign, but that kind of leads us into our first, not necessarily story, but just the first headline of the day. The Bitcoin price has only been higher than now for 12 days in history. That's crazy, people. This is going back to 2017. Late November, early December. I think on December, was it December 2nd or 1st or something, to December 10th, we saw a big push when we started seeing that all-time high. But this is crazy to see. I mean, it's only been 12 days in the history of Bitcoin. It's been higher than this price. So when it goes to predicting what's going to happen next, I mean, no one truly knows, right? We could see Bitcoin go sideways for a while and stay at a $15,000, $14,000 to $16,000 price range. We could see it explode past, because I think, which we all know, if it gets to the all-time high, we might see an immediate sell-off, an immediate dip for people who are just like, hey, I'm even, I'm good, I'm out of here. But you also might see people start to even go crazy, right? You might see that FOMO really kick in, like 20K, 19K. It won't never be less than 20K again. Next time it's going to be 30K, it'll be 40. So you might see that FOMO kick in at 20K. I mean, literally, we saw it happen in December and January of 2017, 2018. I mean, it was a lot of people still buying at that time at 18,000, 19,000, 19,600 at the all-time high, right? So that could also happen. But regardless, again, the price has only been higher than this for 12 days in its history. No TA, no even fundamental, anything is going to tell us anything, because we don't know how the market's going to react, and we don't know how the United States and other governments are going to react. What happens if it does blow by 20K and we get to 25 and 30K in the next 10 or 15 days? Governments will take notice. Like, it was one thing for the 20K. When you talk about you have a Bitcoin at the price of 30K, 35K in 2020, governments will immediately take notice. And I think it's already happening. And that kind of goes into our top story of the day. Before Congress, federal regulators dispute U.S. pace on national digital currency. So again, something we've already talked about is that Congress, government, they know about crypto, right? They're not stupid. They know about Bitcoin. They know the threats it could, they perceive it to be the national security. They've had these conversations. They've talked about it. They are not in the dark. They're just ignoring it. And to be clear, that is my issue right now with government, because they choose to go after ICOs. They choose to go after basically everybody in crypto in this tech space. They choose to go after, yet they're silent on their actual stance. So to me, that's not the right way to do business, I don't think. But we know how the U.S. is. Gang, people, you get it how you live it. So speaking before Congress, OCC head Brian Brooks describes the importance of digital asset innovation in the private sector. And I believe this is probably what it looked like. You know, he's in there talking about CBDCs and everybody's in the room sleep. Shout out to Cointelegraph for the awesome artwork per usual. But it looks like, again, this global race toward CBDCs. The acting comptroller of currency, Brian Brooks, basically went to go talk to everyone and about what's going on with CBDCs and crypto. Quote, "We have built private stable coins in this country that already have a market cap in the tens of billions of dollars, Brooks said in a U.S. House Committee on Financial Services hearing on Thursday. Formerly head of Coinbase's legal department, Brooks currently leads the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, or OCC, which is the Treasury office that regulates federal banks. These things are transacting daily, they are growing rapidly, and they are used for broad commercial purposes, he explained, adding. And before I add the second part, in fact, I'll add a second part. He also added, quote, I don't think in this country we need to wait to build a command and control I don't think in this country we need to wait to build a command and control government solution. I think the private sector is on it, and I think the role of the regulators on this panel is to provide a framework to make sure there aren't bank runs or other problems that consumers would be affected by. I mean, goodness gracious. Shout out to Brian Brooks. Hand clap, hand clap, hand clap. Like someone who is actually making sense in government, right? It's a shame we had to steal them away from the private sector. But no, that's what the U.S. is built on, right? That's what most great governments are built on. They're using people out of the private sector to help the government kind of see, try to bridge that gap. Now, it doesn't always work out. We see that on Wall Street when they jump back and forth between treasury jobs and some of those big banks, so they kind of just help out each other. But in this sector, I think is a good thing. In this instance, I think is a good thing because when you're specifically talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it goes so much broader than just the banks or just this certain group of people. It's for everyone across the globe, right? Across the world. So he's doing everyone a favor. But I mean, this has basically been my stance. I agree with this. Again, to reread this quote, I don't think in this country we need to wait to build a command and control government solution. I think the private sector is on it. I think the role of regulators on this panel is to provide a framework to make sure there aren't bank runs or other problems that consumers will be affected by. So when I'm taking for this and what I would expect from our government is exactly what he said. Provide a framework so there's not a big exit scam. So BitConnect doesn't exist. So OneCoin doesn't exist. Or so some of these larger exchanges don't disappear overnight with $300 or $400 million plus, right? Create a framework for those things. We don't need a framework for every time someone buys and sells Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, which is what they're trying to instill on us right now. Something that came from like the 20s or 30s with the Howey test and securities and everything else, right? We don't need to be taxed every time we buy and sell crypto. That is, or every time we go from crypto to fiat. That's crazy, people. That is how they're trying to make their money and make up lost time for not aggregating their own Bitcoin. Governments around the world, they're doing that. So here in the U.S., I agree. We don't need a command and control government where everything has to go through them. It's already too late for that. This business, the business of cryptocurrency, the industry has been well and alive for years now without the role of the government. So it's already been working. The only issues we've been having in this space are the exit scams and scams in general. So if the government wants to come in and say, hey, we're going to look at these big exchanges for you. We're going to make sure these exchanges aren't running off with your money, or we're going to make sure we can stop some of the bigger scams out there, the Twitter scams, right? When they go on Twitter, donate 300 million Bitcoin or donate $300 million and we'll give you 1 Bitcoin back, whatever the scammers say, right? Stop some of those things. But as far as this total command and control, them trying to control every part of the industry, not only is it impossible to do and it's a waste of taxpayers' money, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do it. We don't need it. And, unfortunately, the United States government has already shown they cannot do it in the private sector. So I'm not sure, or excuse me, in the traditional private sector when it comes to banks and Wall Street. So I'm not sure why they would try it in a more disorganized and a more advanced technological sector like cryptocurrency. I have no clue why they would try it. Well, actually, I do. It has to do with that $1.26 billion the SEC extorted off some companies. But other than that, there's no reason for them to do it, right? And last but not least, Brian Brooks told, he was quoted as saying, in this country, we're still years away from a national real-time payment system. I come to the conclusion that you come to, which is that the best solution is to win. I come to the conclusion that you come to, which is that the best solution is to win the way America has always won, which is by unleashing the power of our innovative, dynamic, risk-taking private sector. I love the way he ended it. What a button to put on that. Risk-taking private sector. That is right. That is where the risks are being taken at. They're not taking at a government level. They're not taking on a federal level. Our federal government has already shown themselves to be risk averse when they don't change with technology. When everyone laughs at things like email and internet, and then one day we're all using it. And then the next day we're laughing at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and then the next day they're talking about CBDCs. The government doesn't take risks, people. They want their money and they want it now, the way it's always been written out, right? If it's on paper, they want it on paper. If it's gold, it's gold. They want their money the way it's always been. So they're not risk taking, which is another reason why they should be hands off in this space. This is something totally new, totally technologically advanced, innovative, and the government goes against all those things. They're always a few feet behind. And this is not just me talking, right? That's what SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce said that the other day in one of her statements. She said, hey, the government is slow moving. We have to look at all these different things, right? All right, both sides agree. The government is slow moving. They aren't risk takers, and they aren't adding any innovation to this. So again, I say all that to say they should be hands off in this sector. Some quick shout outs right now. What's going on, Tiffany from New York? Leroy Forbes. Tiffany said, I need a correction. Tiffany, who are you telling? Look, I hope Bitcoin drops back down to $4,000 a day. Okay, I needed to happen. What's going on, Andre Durden? Somo Vid. Ryan James said, my EOS ain't popping. Going to dip my investment toe into the Algorand pool. Okay. Velo, BTC, what's going on? Morpheus Mine, Wired Sparks, Antonio, P-Man Van, hello. Now, this was an interesting story. Comes off the heels of my, I was talking about IPOs yesterday, so I thought this was another good story to bring up. Digital Currency Group IPO could easily fetch $4 billion, says Masari. This may be the first major crypto company to go public, as this article is stating. And they're looking at what would it look like if DCG, Digital Currency Group, were to go public. Analysts at digital analytics firm Masari believe they have the answer. In a newly published report, researcher Jack Purdy lays out a theoretical initial public offering for DCG using data from quarterly updates along with other publicly available information and the average price to sales ratio from comparable fintech companies. Purdy concludes that DCG would be valued at more than $4 billion if it went public. Now they're saying, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that too, I was like, I didn't know Digital Currency Group had that much going on where they'd be worth $4 billion. But again, this examination is being based on underlying businesses. Again, they even say, while casual crypto observations may not realize it, and I fell into that casual observation, DCG owns some of the biggest brands in crypto, including Genesis, Grayscale, and CoinDesk. I forgot about the Genesis thing, to be honest. I remember Grayscale and CoinDesk. Combine these and other DCG properties generate $243 million in revenue annually. So you can go more into this article on Cointelegraph. But the basics is that, Digital Currency Group, if it did an IPO, it'd be worth $4 billion. And that kind of goes back to my assumption that if Coinbase were to do one, we're talking 16 billion plus easy. With all the different things, I don't even know the words, all the different ancillary services that they're offering right now are bringing in tons of money, not just the trading and the fees itself or the holding of crypto. So that just goes to show, again, this isn't one of the larger companies, and this article even points out, based or while casual crypto observations may have might realize that it's worth more than it is. When you look at other companies, the Binances, the BitMEXs, the Geminis, we know those things are worth a lot, right? We already know they're worth a lot. So again, this is just something I want to point out when it comes to crypto group ICOs. Anybody in the fintech industry that's doing the IPOs, I think they're all going to go for a lot. I think we're going to see the same thing we saw what happened with exchanges when Poloniex got bought for $300 million by Circle, right? We're going to see the same things happen with crypto groups, except organizations on Wall Street are going to be buying them. So you're going to see, again, I always talk about JP Morgan Chase. Don't be surprised if they come in and they buy something like the Digital Currency Group, or they come in and they buy themselves a Coinbase, right, and just merge it with them. Because again, a lot of these companies, even if they were to buy these companies for $4 billion, $10 billion, I can almost guarantee you that company wouldn't be paying $10 billion. There's so many different tax breaks. There's so many different government rules and regulations and things they have, so another company doesn't have to come in and pay the total $4 billion or $10 billion, especially not up front. So for banks and stuff, these would be great businesses to invest in, I think, in the short term. And again, these companies are already showing their worth when no one's paying attention, right? As much as we love Bitcoin, and it's at 16,000 and it's about to reach its all-time high maybe again, and all this good positive stuff, majority of people still don't know what Bitcoin is. They still don't mess with cryptocurrency. It's still not the norm. So you have something that is still in the dark alleys that no one's paying attention to, that's still screaming criminal and this doesn't work and scam, and that is still worth $4 billion. So the day when people actually say, oh, have you heard the moves digital currency group have done? Or how much Bitcoin are you buying a day? Or once that becomes normal conversation about cryptocurrency, then you can see these same numbers literally double overnight. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. It's going to double overnight. So if a bank or a big company were to come in and buy these groups, which I think, again, will happen in the next year or so, once they start buying them, expect them to just pump them up on steroids and watch these companies go crazy from there with the media and the advertising and all that good stuff. A couple of quick comments. Imas, what's going on? A dozen bit connects in DeFi for sure. Malik Howard, what's going on? Too rich to miss. Hello, hello, hello. Crypto Q back in the house. Here we go. This is an interesting story. $300 million in Bitcoin flow to Binance from Huobi as China gets tougher on exchanges. Another good news story, and I'll tell you why, people. Toward the end of 2016, about 3 or 4 times in 2017, and then once at the beginning of 2018 when the price was still high, China always does the whole, we're banning Bitcoin and crypto. We like it. We don't like it. We don't like the Bitcoin businesses. We do. But the only time they do this is when Bitcoin is spiking. So this is definitely a bullish sentiment. I think this is a good thing to see. It's unfortunate you have to do that in China. You know, you have to move funds. But 300 million, I mean, wow. It looks like as the Chinese government cracks down on several crypto exchanges, catering to traders based in China, many of those customers and their Bitcoin have been making their way to Binance over the past few days. This is what I love about crypto and how governments can control it. If your government wants to start acting crazy, they don't want to give their citizens what they want, what they ask for, whatever it is. In this case, this traders who aren't, again, people, there are people murdering people everywhere around the world right now. And instead, these governments are saying, nah, go after them dudes with the laptops that's trading currency. Like, do you understand how powerful this is right now? It's powerful enough for these traders to say, no, we're not going to stop trading or give you our money in Bitcoin. But what we will do is just leave. We'll just take our services and businesses elsewhere. And I tell you what, if you have a piece of $300 million, if you're one of those traders that has a percentage piece of that $300 million, then yeah, I'm about to transfer my money to Binance and I'm about to move out of China to next door. Hong Kong still isn't safe, but to next door neighboring country, right? Or just move halfway across the world. Regardless, people are not going to stop making money and voluntarily go to prison, all because governments don't like what people are doing on computers. It's really that simple. You know, these are the same governments that are, every government around the world just about is engaged in some type of war, right? But in the middle of their wars, in the middle of bombings and soldiers and all this other stuff happening, they're like, oh, let's divert some of these resources to these guys and girls on laptops and what they're doing. Do you understand how crazy that is? And again, how powerful crypto is. So again, I think this is a bullish sentiment. The only time China makes the news about doing this is when the price of Bitcoin is starting to reach its peaks. Again, we saw this at the end of 2016 when we saw Bitcoin start creeping up toward $700 to $900. And again, on January 1st of 2017, it hit $1,000. China was like, oh, blanket ban, we don't want to see it. And then as the price, you know, was jumping between $1,300 to $4,000, China kind of rescinded that. By the time it hit $5,000 to $7,000, it was right back on. 7 to 9, they rescinded it. 10 to 12, it was right back on. So again, this is a bullish sentiment. China always gets to acting crazy when that Bitcoin price spikes. And they're doing it right now. Then that means they may know what's coming next. And that is not the price plummeting or retracing. As you can see here, it says a lot of users went to Binance because Chinese users are more familiar with Binance and Binance executives are all overseas. Colin Wu, a Chinese crypto reporter behind the Twitter account Wu Blockchain, told CoinDesk on a WeChat message. I cannot talk today for some reason. So a lot of news going on in China. Again, $300 million Bitcoin. No one wants to see that percentage of money leave their exchange to another one. So we know something's up for sure. What's going on? Crypto Sovereign, Sergeant Crypto. Hello, hello, hello. Now, some great news stories at the end of the day. Some more bullish sentiments. And here's another one. U.S. company now lets travelers pay for passports with Bitcoin. People, when we start getting into the passport game, the traveling game, what's next? Something Bitcoin's A's talked about many times. They're going to have Bitcoin ATMs at airports or right outside of airports. So now you don't need to even exchange your funds. I mean, this is happening and it's happening fast. I was telling you guys the other day, I paid for cash for some things the other day, and people are looking at me crazy. Like, you still using cash right now? I'm like, is it gone? Like, is this official or what's happening? Judging by the Bitcoin price, I guess so, because again, one Bitcoin always equals one Bitcoin. People, the price of Bitcoin hasn't changed. The U.S. dollar has went from being worth $12,000 for one Bitcoin to being worth $16,000 for one Bitcoin in less than a week. That has to do with the dollar. That has nothing to do with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin hasn't changed at all. Now, again, this story that this company is allowing people to pay for passports with Bitcoin, that's Peninsula Visa. It's a firm providing passport and visa services in the U.S. Says it now accepts payments in Bitcoin. They said Wednesday the payments will be processed through Coinbase Commerce, the merchant payments arm of the cryptocurrency exchange. Not all services are included so far. Customers can use their Bitcoin to fund passport renewals, name changes, and second passports. And then more services are going to be available in the next year. So this is happening. This is happening, people. And you can see here, never before has anyone been able to pay for a U.S. passport using a digital currency, said Evan James, Chief Operating Officer at Peninsula Visa. Now, some things I want to add. I'm glad he made that statement at the end where no one's like, hey, we're the first people to do this. We're advanced. We're doing it. That's going to be the thing that companies are going to jump on. It's going to be the same Bitcoin stimulus package we saw in 2017, where you got, the Long Island iced tea all of a sudden rebranded themselves to blockchain Long Island iced tea or something, right? And we saw in the traditional stock market that price soar before it faced a crazy dip, right? But that was that whole blockchain stimulus package. We're going to see it again once people finally start accepting Bitcoin. You're going to see every business out there saying, hey, we are the first of its kind in this industry to accept Bitcoin. Come here. Because it's already been stated, even in Bitcoin Zay's first book, Bitcoin in Black America, he talks about it. But yeah, it's like, this is an easy marketing plan. All you have to do is say we accept Bitcoin. No other people in this industry accept Bitcoin. And at the very least, you'll have other people in crypto look up your company and say, oh, this is cool. What makes them different? Why are they accepting it, right? So again, it's an easy marketing play. I'm not sure why more companies wouldn't do it. Even if you don't accept Bitcoin, I would just be like, hey, we accepting Bitcoin now. And then once you get people in the door, be like, oh yeah, we're going to start the program in 6 months. But since you're here already, let me show you some things, right? It just doesn't make sense not to say you accept Bitcoin or you're dealing in cryptocurrency. It's crazy not to do it. And again, it shows how bullheaded some of these people or these companies are, to the point they wouldn't want free advertising, they wouldn't want free marketing, and they wouldn't want another way for people to pay them. So I'm glad to see you can do it with visas now. I think this is going to be the future. It's going to happen. Why not? You're talking about passports, global passports, United States passports and visas. People are trying to get these things using every denomination fiat currency that's out there, right? Why not add crypto to the mix? It's just money. All right. And last but definitely not least, payments provider BitPay rolls out cryptocurrency payroll service. There you go, BitPay. To keep it real, I'm pretty sure they already had the service for a few years now. I think they already kind of had it. Maybe it was like the beta version, but I'm pretty sure they already had the service. It just wasn't like really being pushed or widespread because people were still like, getting paid in Bitcoin or whatever. It was like a weird thing. But now, of course, you wake up and the price is $16,000. Who wouldn't want to get paid in Bitcoin, right? Well, it looks like BitPay is making that possible. Payments provider BitPay has launched a new service enabling businesses to pay employees, contractors, customers, and vendors in mass with cryptocurrency. Now, if you remember, we've talked about BitPay on here a lot throughout the years. They've been around, right? Positive and negative stories. The positives is that BitPay does work. They do a great job. Their services are good. I mean, like, I'm not even gonna BS it. They do a really good job. The con against BitPay was that, and again, I get it from a business perspective, but just from a community perspective in the industry, the con was that initially they offered their services to everyone. Then they rolled those back and they basically like, hey, if you don't got money or you're not one of these accredited or these traditional legacy organizations, we don't want your business. To be fair, I won't blame that all the way on BitPay. I'm sure they got that tap on the shoulder. It was like, hey, are you servicing regular people in America? Like, no, we're not trying to help them come up. Like, only the rich people, okay? So I'm pretty sure they got that tap on the shoulder. But once the market crashed in 2018 and that price of Bitcoin started going down, they came back later that year in 2019. It was like, oh, guess what, guys? We're here for everyone again, not just businesses and rich people. We're here for everyone. So that kind of was weird to me. I didn't really agree with that, where they went from being from everyone to just certain people. Then once the price is going down and no one wants their business anymore, then they're like, okay, guys, we're here for everyone again. So that was kind of weird to me. I didn't really agree with that. But regardless, again, they do a good job. Their services are good. And I am excited to see them launch this new services enabling businesses and customers and contractors and everyone to get paid via cryptocurrency, because a lot of contractors, they get paid in what they want to get paid in, right? When you draw the contract up, net 30, everyone knows that I get paid, 30, you have 30 days to pay me, or if it's net 45, whatever it is. You put it out there and you say you have what you are able to get paid in. You can Venmo me, you can Cash App me, you can Zelle me, you can write me a check. Some people don't even do checks anymore. You can pay me in cash or money order, right? Now those same contracts will say cryptocurrencies. If you want to send me Bitcoin or Ripple or whatever it is, whatever people like, you want to send me some Bcash, you want to send me some Dogecoin out there, you want to send me some Burst, be my guest, right? And BitPay is saying, hey, we're going to allow companies to do that. So again, I do think that's a good thing. I think that's a huge move for the industry in the right direction. So we do have BitPay to thank for that. So I definitely want to give them another hand clap. But again, this was announced today, Friday. BitPay Send is a payout service with a focus on international and gig economy companies looking to pay multiple recipients online simultaneously. Blockchain payment adoption is growing because it offers an easy way to send and receive payments on a global scale, BitPay CEO Stephen Pear said. With this new service, companies don't need to buy, own, or manage cryptocurrency while the recipients receive payment more efficiently and at a reduced cost, Pear added. So again, you can read more about this on CoinDesk. Recipients will need to have a BitPay ID and a cryptocurrency wallet in order to receive the payment, and companies are charged a 1% fee. Now, we aren't fans of fees, but what I will say that this is way more fair than what it usually is. Right now, fees are 3 to 4% for companies. And that's obscene. I mean, literally go to PayPal and try to send someone some money that you don't know, that's not already your friend or family. You or them are going to get hit with a 3 to 4% charge. And again, I know for smaller numbers, it doesn't mean a lot. But when you start talking about thousands, like $40,000, $100,000, $1 million, and you're still talking about 3 to 4%, $10 million, $100 million, like crazy. No one needs to get 4% off $100 million just because they're the third party. And I don't get what they're doing. Hey, yeah, this is Peter, this is Paul. All right, y'all good? Boom, give me that 4%. Like, no, with crypto, we don't have to do that anymore, right? That intermediary is gone. So I'm happy to see that. And even being a contractor myself here in Los Angeles, anyone who's been in Los Angeles and done business know that the payment systems here are super antiquated. Like, a lot of Los Angeles is still using checks, people. So as much technology as this city has, a lot of older people are in positions where they don't want to use the new technology. I mean, I've talked to these people who still take checks. They're like, this is just the way we do it. We know how to do the accounting. I tried to explain to them before. I'm like, hey, with technology, with Cash App, with Venmo and all this other stuff, you don't even have to do accounting. You can just literally print off the CSV Excel sheet and it'll have everything there for you. But they're just like, no, this is our process. Our process has been this process for 30 years and we do not want to change it. So again, as a contractor, once I start putting into my contracts, hey, the only way I'm accepting my money now is if you pay me whatever crypto. Their first question is, hey, we don't know how to do that. We don't do it. And then you send them the BitPay link. Just sign up. You're good to go. Pay me my money, right? Everyone won't be down with it, but as you start to get people, all you have to do is ask. Some people will say no, but as you start getting the onesies and twosies, say yes, that's all we need. 3 years later, 4 years later, 5 years later, you have more than a few onesies and twosies doing it. Now you have half the city doing it, right? So it starts slow, but this is going to be the future, and BitPay has put themselves in a great position to lead the way doing this because there is like really no other service doing it. I think Coinbase, again, we saw the Coinbase Commerce. They're starting to go down that path as well. I think Coinbase will eventually do it only because of their size and the resources they have. It just makes sense for them to make an arm of their department like this. But yeah, I think BitPay, Coinbase, I can see Gemini possibly jumping into it. There won't be a lot of companies. Early on, there won't be a lot of companies. And the companies like this, they're going to take off. Once other companies sign up for this, once they get that Microsoft under their belt, that Amazon or one of those huge companies that say, yes, we want to use BitPay to pay thousands of employees in crypto if they ask for it because it's actually easier for us too, they're going to take off. We're going to see this company become another unicorn for $10 billion IPO. That will be the future. Bitwage. Yes, that's what I was thinking of too. I appreciate it. I was over here thinking in my head, what was the other company called? Bitwage had it as well. I think Bitwage still has it. I remember Ken Bozak was actually talking about how he used Bitwage. So I know for a fact Bitwage actually works as well. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's about 3 or 4 companies that will more than likely have it in the next year or two. And then after that, of course, you'll see the proliferation of it where there'll be new companies popping up left and right. Like, yeah, we can offer services to pay you in crypto and all that good stuff. All right, last few comments before we call it a day. What's going on, Gervais? Right, Bulls are running and traveling. Hilarious. P-Man Van said, keep your Bitcoin. Give them the cash trash. Rose Green said, there will never be 10K Bitcoin longer than a day again. It's a bull run coming, guys. Don't sell too soon. Hold, hold, hold. Ooh, okay. Gervais Wright said, Bitwage had it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Crypto Sovereign said, now the question is, by show of hands, how many of you are prepared to live off of cryptocurrency? Listen, I am with you. I am prepared to live off cryptocurrency because I think, again, people are still looking at it as being this just so different and so magical. And I was like, at the end of the day, while cryptocurrencies and tokens and all these things have all these different properties and you can use them for different things, the reason, one of the primary reasons it was made is for peer-to-peer transfer, right? It's just something of value, people. If it was marbles or if it was anything else, consider it the same as cash. It just is what it is. Just let it happen naturally. Stop letting your mind fight this new technology. It's not scary. It's okay. Morpheus Mind said, I can't wait to use my Uphold card to start buying groceries, use my Dogecoin. And that's the thing. That's why, I'm glad you pointed out. That's why communities like Dogecoin will always pump and they will exist because it's just so much fun now and it works. That's the thing. Morpheus Mind said that, not saying it just to have fun with it, but because it will actually work. Dogecoin works, right? So that's a good thing. And that's the thing the government still doesn't understand. They're like, oh, we can stop Bitcoin or we can harness, we can try to hold its price down, suppress its price, or do these things with media. Fine, go ahead. There's Dogecoin. Okay, you do with Dogecoin, and there's whatever coin. You do with whatever coin, then someone will go online, and 10 minutes later, there will be a new crypto coin out that everyone will start using. There is no stopping this, people. Crypto Sovereign said the problem with that is it leads to revealing your involvement in crypto. Yep, private money, ergo a taxable event and a marker for the IRS. Now, that part is true. And again, this is where it's one of those things where I don't want to see that happen, but being realistic and seeing how the landscape has already been shaped with regulators, that's probably what's going to happen. I can see BitPay, again, like I said, becoming big, those type of businesses proliferating. Once they're at a certain size and they have it's really going to be a certain company. It's always about money. Once you get the Amazon under your belt or the Apple or whatever really big company, once BitPay or one of these Bitwage get one of these companies under their belt, that is when the government is going to step in and say, all right, cool. Y'all got this set up. This is how we run and play. All right, they're going to come in and quarterback the whole thing. You can be like, what's going on? We already got a quarterback. Yeah, he fired now. I'm the quarterback. They're going to come in and say, BitPay, we want backdoor access. We want to see everything. Whatever company, we already got access. We already see everything. Yeah, you two can do all that. We're going to make it so that not only is it a taxable event, you can actually just check a box right there on BitPay and get your crypto taxed and taken out so you don't have to worry about it. That is going to happen. Like, we might as well mentally prepare ourselves for that because if I were the business of government, the business of the United States, that is what I would do. And as we already see how they operate, once they do it, I'm not seeing anyone stopping them from doing it. I don't see anyone protesting about $1.26 billion of seized ICO money. Do you see any of these, all the people we herald in the crypto space, all the top 20 to top 50 people in crypto, you don't see them on a soapbox about this. It's just happening, right? So that is going to happen. They are going to tax it. It is going to be a taxable event. And I think it'll be taxable to the point, or I think it'll work out to the point, like I said, you can check a box right next to your payment and it's going to come out right there in front of you. So, and that's if you're lucky. The way things are going, it might not even be a box to check. They might say, all right, you can do crypto, but we're going to pre-tax everything before it even gets transferred to the balance sheet. Before your boss even puts it on a balance sheet that sends it to you, we're going to tax it behind all that. So there's many ways for them to do it. I think it's going to happen for sure. What's going on, Evan? Crypto Sovereign said, or Cash App allows you to get paid via direct deposit and then buy Bitcoin. Cash App as well. There we go. Let's see. Canadian official. There's no coin like Dogecoin. Will 45. Do you have to pay CG tax on small purchases? Right now, honestly, I think it's almost like I would say almost a state thing. It's so gray right now, right? So I couldn't tell you for sure. PFC Wells said, watch out for the people promoting that Bitcoin is only a store of value. They are pushing that narrative for a reason. Of course they are. They don't want, that's the thing. They don't want people just to have it, right? Or just use it. Let's see. Okay, Wire Sparks answered that. Appreciate that, Wire Sparks. He said yes to the CG tax. crypto sovereign, the alternate to any of them taxing your wage is to mine it or earn it as a contractor instead of a W-2. That's right. That's one of the things you can do instead of having your job give it to you. Work as a contractor. We talked about that earlier in the show. I said you can write up your own contract and have them send it to you. Or as he also mentioned, it's to mine it yourself. So those are some different ways. As always, people, thanks for watching, the continued support. Got to give a shout out to all you crypto warriors. I made the call to get us to 4K. We are at 4,010 viewers. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're still that low. Hey, tell your friends that, no, I was playing. Hey, make sure you smash that like and share, people, seriously. And of course, we'll be back next week with some more crypto videos. Thanks for watching. Cheers.